All right, in this lesson right here, what we're going to be doing is wrapping up the second half of the static meshes, this time for the outer portion of the arena, the hallways that are going to run behind the arena itself. And we're going to be working a little bit with some addition and subtraction brushes as well, and a little bit of vertex editing. Now, before I turn it over to Logan and let him get started, I'd like to point out that we have added, Logan, if you want to show him real quick, some of those lights to the very top of our level there. You can see them up there at the top. That's it right there. We've added those all the way around. If you remember in the last lesson, we were trying to think, did the original level have them up there or not? We went back and we checked, and yeah, the original level did have them up there. So we just went ahead and selected a ring of them, duplicated them, and moved them up. We did it off camera just to kind of make things quick. So with that, Logan, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you to get the outer rings completed.
Okay. First, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and finish off all those windows that surround the outer arena, because those are part of what we will be duplicating. So let me zoom out a little and find where I added that first window in. Around here. Yeah.
There it is.
So that's right now it's just a frame. We need two more brushes. One, a sheet that will actually have the glass texture on it, and then a third that's a blocking volume that will keep people and projectiles from going through it. So first, let me go and go down and find where I have this added in right here. And I'll start with a sheet brush. And move that in from off camera here. And we need to change the type over to Y-axis, set the height to about 416, and the width to 864. Yes, I see.
Flip those numbers around nicely.
All right, let me go down and center this up here. Okay, now, I want to actually select a glass-looking texture before I add that in. So I'll bring up the texture browser, open up, you see I have it in the background, but just in case it wasn't already loaded, let me load in AW Global, and go to, AW Global, Shaders, and grab the Ocean Glass shader. With that selected, I can go ahead and close out the texture browser, and then add that sheet in. And there we actually have some cube mapped glass. After that, the last thing we need to do is make it actually collidable. So I'll go back and grab a cube, set its height to 416, its width to, let me see which way are we working. Okay, 32 for width, and a breadth of 864. With that in place, and let me go check the height, which I should have on the plane, but this looks like it'll work. Alright, that looks good. So with that in place, I'll click down here on Volume, and I'll select a blocking volume. And if I move the builder brush out of the way, you can see as I selected this light colored brush is our actual blocking volume. If under the filters I turn Show Volumes on, you can actually see it in the perspective view. I need to change one property on this to make sure that it will block projectiles. So I'm going to right-click on it, go to its properties. Under Collision, I'm going to set B Block 0 Extent Traces. I'm going to set that to True. And with that set, that's it. That's one glass window in place. So with that one window, I'm going to select the actual plane that has the textured glass on it, and then I'm going to go into a perspective wireframe. And to make this a little bit simpler, I'm going to leave volumes on in the top view and turn volumes off. You saw when I right-click and I had View Volumes, the shortcut to that is O. So if I turn volumes, Show Volumes off, I can then select the subtraction brush, and that way I can grab all three elements that make up this window. With those selected, I'm going to open up the group browser. I'm going to create a new group, and I'm going to call it, Upper Ring 1. So this is going to the base that we're starting to get a group going for all our upper ring elements.
And so this is going to contain other things outside of just windows as well. So
right, I'm going to be adding to this as I work with it. But in the beginning, it's going to serve so that I can get 6 windows around the top of the arena.
Gotcha.
Okay, with those selected, I'm going to go ahead and duplicate them. Then let me center them up, and again, see if I can get away with my favorite grid setting of 16. Yeah, I should have set it 16 before I moved, but that's okay. Set it back to 4 just to make sure I get it centered back up first. Then I can go back to the center of the world, snap the pivot, and then I can rotate it in the chosen direction, say out a little. And let me duplicate off that first and get 3 before I use the group to select and duplicate them over to the other side. So I'll go ahead and duplicate this one, center it back up, and then make sure I snap my pivot back to the center. And then with that third window set, now I should be able to use the group select all in upper ring 1, grab all 3 of those, and then duplicate, move it back up, centered, and check the pivot. I'll go ahead and set it. Pivot, snap here. Okay, now I can grab all 3. Now I finally have 6 nicely snapped windows.
Very nice.
I'm going to rebuild and just rebuild geometry to verify that they're all lined up correctly. So now if I look around, I can pan back a little. 3 windows on that side, looking good, and 3 windows on the other side. So there's the start of our upper ring. Now let's go back and focus in on that doorway. We need to add some static meshes to the onto the sides of it to make it look better, and then we'll actually go and add a light inside our ring up here to get some more static mesh decoration going. So first, I'll go and open up I can close groups now. For now, I'll probably be coming back to it later, but just to keep the view from getting too cluttered. Load up the static mesh browser, and if you haven't already loaded the pipestatic.usx, you should do so now. And first, I'll need some doorways. So I'll grab, let's say, I'm looking for tube exit and tube frame B. I need both of these. I'm gonna place them both and then go in and accurately place them. So I'll grab one. I'll say add that one there. I'll go ahead and grab the tube exit as well and add it. Now I have both of them in the level. I can go ahead and close out the static mesh browser. With both of them in the level, I need to first make some adjustments. It's probably I'll throw these in the correct positions in just a second. This one needs to be sized down with a direct scale, draw scale 3D to 0.8 in all axes. And the other one needs to be scaled to 1.16, 1, and 1.05. So now we have them the scale set correctly. Let me go and grab, this one was the one we're going to use for the outer frame. So let me move that in place, maybe rotate it around, and try to line it up. You can see where I cut through for the doorway there, so I'll start lining it up. See if I can get it flat, or let's see, flat against the edge there. Go in my front view so I can align it to the floor better. Let me zoom up in on it some more. And you can kind of see that line across there. That represents where this actual, like, say the floor of that doorway is. So let me drag that down so it's a little bit below, and then that almost matches up. Pretty soon I'll have to lower the snap grid, or the drag grid, in order to align some of these. I'll grab the other brush for the other side and start moving it in as well. This one actually gets inset into the wall a little. Let me see if I can pan out here real quick. You can see up on the top where it has these little edges that stick out. I'm going to try to get those close to lining up with that wall, so it'll actually be inset into the wall a little bit. So let me drag that in, and maybe right about there for now. I'll probably have to line this up better in just a second. So that's a start. Let me go in and see how close I can get it without dropping the drag grid more. Maybe turn on, let's see, so move that over. Maybe move it down one more. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and just drop way down and get this as close as I can. And let's see, maybe move it. So yeah, this will take just a second, but I'll get these lined up fairly well, and then we'll move on. So let me see how these are shaping up. Maybe move that one out more, and move that one in just a tad. And let's see. Need to get them so they overlap just a little. Zoom in, okay. So, what do you say? Leave it at that for now.
Yeah, I say, this is just a demonstration on how to put something together, and you could really end up spending a significant amount of time really with tweaking everything. So I think that does the trick.
Okay. So with those, let me go ahead and deselect them and raise my grid snapping back up a little. Now, one last static mesh I want to add is the light fixture that's going to go inside this outer hallway. So let me bring up the static mesh browser, still inside the pipe static package. I want to scroll down until I find tube light A. With that selected, I'll go and right click on the ceiling in the outer ring and say add that tube light. Now it's not rotated correctly yet, so I'm going to go to the side view, zoom out, and let me see, rotate. I'll rotate it around so you can see it's facing, you have the light side of it facing down now. I'll go in the front view, or I could just, staying in the side, I could drag it down until it's about even. And from the top view, I'll just rotate it another 90 degrees to line it up how I want. Let me try setting the grid up to 16 so I can accurately line this up. Right about there, looks pretty good. Okay, so with all these in place, I need to start adding some of these brushes and static meshes into my group with the windows, because all those windows are going to get duplicated down in just a second. So first, I need to go and grab all these pieces, the static mesh, and then the door frames, and then that brush I actually used to subtract in there. So let me start selecting these. Grab both door frames, grab the tube light, and now grab that brush that's sandwiched in there now. I'll probably change my perspective over to a wireframe so I can grab that brush right in the middle. And there, now I've got that subtraction brush that I used. So with all of those selected, let me bring up the group browser again. Select my upper ring 1 and add those selected to this group. Now I need these on the other side, so I'm going to duplicate them and then line them back up. Set their pivots to the center. Snap pivot here. And then rotate them around to the other side. Okay, let me rebuild geometry and put this into a textured view. Move back across the level, and there you can see we're cutting through to the other side. We look up. We have the light. So now, if I go back to the group browser, and I say, let me deselect all, then grab the upper ring and say select all in that group, now I've got my entire ring of stuff that I would need to duplicate down. So just before I duplicate this, let me point one thing out. These are going to alternate. You see we have a door on each side. On the one level down, the doors are going to go on that wall over there, and finally for the bottom level, it's going to revert back to the door being directly below this door. So what I'm going to do is duplicate this whole set of brushes.
Before you duplicate, I got a quick question. Would it be wise to go ahead and add in the cut where we're going to have our ramps going down both ways now? Because then we could just delete that subtraction brush out from the very bottom when we duplicate it down.
Okay. What he's talking about is where we're going to actually cut into the floor here so we can add a ramp, which will provide access to the lower floors once we duplicate this outer ring. Which is another good point. I need to load that group back up and add that ring to that group for when I start doing the duplications.
Absolutely, yeah.
So with upper ring, I'll grab just that outer ring and add that as well. So, while we're working in here, I'm going to go ahead and cut the holes in the floor necessary to put a ramp through them. So I'm going to start with another cube. I'm going to set its height to 32, set its width to 512, and its breadth to, say, 352. And build that. And let me move it over to where we're working. Now, we need to get this centered so you can see the edges of our outer ring here and here. So that centers there pretty well. Also, we want to make sure it doesn't interfere with the mesh of our door too bad. So let's see. Let me move it out a little. Let me check what that's starting to look like. So with that, and we want to keep it kind of even towards the edges, so I'm going to leave it about right there. Let me check its location in Z, move it actually into the floor so we get ready to cut into it. So move it around a little, center it back up. Yeah, I kind of like that. That way you keep an almost uniform thickness as you're going through this edge. So with that in place, I'll go ahead and subtract that out. Notice I had my glass texture. I could undo that real quick and load up textures, go back to humanoid architecture, and let's see. Let me just load that package back in real quick. Humanoid architecture, grab everything, and from bases, let's see. Oh, notice I had some text typed down here before when I was searching for ocean. I guess this is a good point to point this out, the filter. I was searching for this texture was called ocean glass, and I had started to hunt down that texture. If you start to type in some letters, it'll start filtering out your textures. Like if I wanted to like grab all the ones that said like O2 in them, type O2, and then it narrows it down for me. Very good thing to keep track of, especially if you start moving the texture browser down so you can't see it. So let me take the filter out real quick. That way I can grab that texture base that I've been using, close out the texture browser, and now we'll subtract, and everything matches. It doesn't actually punch through to anything because there is no other brushes down there yet. So with that in place, I can simply move the builder brush to the other side, line it up about the same, make sure it's centered. That looks good, and subtract it out. And there we have the openings where we will be able to put ramps through.
Very nice.
So, let's see. We could actually add those ramps if we wanted to, real quick.
Yeah, why not?
And that way, let's see. I could
it all as one unit.
Yeah, I could go grab the ramps from over there, but let me just load the static mesh browser because I know they're under, let's see, Bastion hardware, and then we have ramp 03, which will work. I'll just go ahead and add a new ramp 03 right here. And then I'll start lining this brush up so that it's centered. You can see there's the side of the hole we cut in the floor, so it's centered on that and then lined up with the edge. Let me go to the front view, start moving it down till it lines up. I might have to go, let me check, see what that looks like. That'll probably work good. Now, of course, it's going outside the level, but which will be fixed after we start duplicating these rings and have some open areas for these to go to. So let me start duplicating these out more and moving them down. It'll probably take about 4 of these to actually complete the section here. And yes, they are going to be running outside, but we'll be addressing this as well as soon as we get done duplicating the rings.
What he means is when he actually duplicates the whole ring down to the next second layer, then what's going to happen is that'll still be sticking out the side, and we're going to actually be making some adjustments to the second level and to the bottom level as well to accommodate this.
Right. Move that down, and we should have a nice continuous ramp, which if we look at actually matches up quite nicely with the bottom there.
Yeah, that's nice.
So just so that's in place, let me go ahead and grab all 4 of those real quick and then duplicate them. And I'm just going to let them rotate wherever their pivot was because I'm going to be moving them anyway. So move them into place right over where our other subtracted hole in the floor is, like such. And go verify, and yes, we do have ramps going down the other side. Check their height. All looks good. Okay.
Now we can put those 2 subtraction brushes and all of those ramps straight across on the other side and add them also into our group.
Right. So let me go ahead and grab all these pieces real quick. Take just a second to select them. So 4 on that side, 4 on this side. And let me change this to a wireframe perspective so I can see those subtraction brushes. And we can go ahead now. We can add those to the group and then duplicate them. So I'll bring up my group browser with the upper ring selected, add those, and maybe switch back to a textured view. And
actually, go ahead and keep it. Yeah, go ahead and work in the top view. I'm sorry.
Okay, duplicate them, line them up, and let's see. Wouldn't even really need to do the pivot point thing because I can just simply grab and drag them over to the other side. So I'm going to line these up the way they were, centered on both sides from the ring, and then about 16 units away from this dark line here. So with that, I can rebuild geometry just to run over there real quick and verify. Pan all the way across, and now we have ramps. If I go below the floor, you can see there's our ramps.
Okay, good.
So now we should be getting ready to do the big duplicate and copy all this to the floor. So I'll go back to my group browser. I'll grab that upper ring, and I'll say select, let me bring that back, select all in group. And there we've got everything, the rings, the ramps, those doorways, some glass. So it looks like we're good to go. And close that out for a second. Go to the front view, and let me duplicate from the top view just so I make sure I realign everything. So duplicate, and then line everything back up. And then, let's see.
I'm going to copy this one all the way down to level number 1.
So down to the bottom. And let's see, make sure it lines up with the floor. Go back to the top view, keep it lined up. And that looks good.
Now we can go down there and actually delete out those ramps. Well, actually, before we delete them out, we could simply just duplicate that.
We can duplicate one last time because now we have just this section selected. Let's duplicate it one last time and then rotate it.
Absolutely.
So I'll duplicate it. I'll move it back to the center. Then I'll move it up. Let me see, make sure I grab the floor level, which is right there. Line it up with the floor.
This is very cool stuff, guys. Logan's working very efficient right now.
Now, nice rotate. Whoop, forgot to set the pivot to the center. So, let me zoom in real close so I can grab, say, pivot, snapped here. Then I should be able to grab everything all at once, do a nice 90-degree rotate. And let me just real quickly verify that everything's still in place.
Yeah, I'm not sure if everything's still lining up.
I might have to move it just a little to snap it up.
I think something got jumped off just a second ago.
Yeah, what it was when I right-clicked, I accidentally right-clicked on an actual point from, like, I think maybe one of the center selections. Since it's not lining up and it was jumped off the grid, we have everything, let's see. Everything right there, we could probably go... Let's see. What would be this? Right click. There we go. I right clicked on that. See what it was when I right clicked, that little yellow point that was sitting there, I right clicked and it knocked it off. I right clicked again and it actually brought it back for me. So now if I look at my glass from that selection, you can see it's dead on again. So just be very careful. Make sure that when you're clicking, that's where the snap to place pivot snapped is really useful because you don't actually have to be on a point. If a point's in your way, just get really close. Like if that yellow point had been over the center, what I should have done is just gone a hair out from the center, right click so I don't accidentally hit that point, and then I could say set pivot snapped, and it would go to the closest point that it could, and I would have been okay.
Okay, now before we rebuild anything, go ahead and down at the bottom, you may want to go and change that perspective view over to a wireframe real quick. That'll keep things kind of fast. Now, on that bottom floor level, go ahead and delete out the ramps and the subtraction brushes because we're not going to have anything going any lower.
Right, let me actually put it back in textured so I can see my selection a little bit better. And grab ramps, and I'll just delete as I go because we're just taking the ramps off the bottom. And let's see. I'll grab the selection brushes in just a second.
Are those actually ones that are going below right there?
Let me see.
Yeah, I don't think you want to delete those. I think they're going to be on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah, way to watch what you're doing.
Yeah, there's one right there. Or two.
So, grab these two. Let me go below the level so I can get a better idea here.
There you go.
As a matter of fact, I should have been doing this from an orthographic all along because I could have just done that. And then be left with a lot less. Okay. So these two also from the ground, which doesn't need to go anywhere. So those I'll go into a perspective wireframe. These that would cut into the ground floor, we don't need those for this specific level. So I'll delete those out as well. And go to the other side. Same thing. And with that, that should be all the brushes that we didn't need for the bottom level.
All right, very good.
So let me go and rebuild geometry real quick. Okay, turn on a textured view, and there we go. Of course, the ramps, we will be fixing that where the ramps go into the wall. But this gives a general idea of what we're talking about. We now have ramps cut into the floor to allow access to the lower levels.
And we've got all of the glass in place all the way from the third level all the way down to the lower level. And our doors are in place. I mean, that was very quick, very easy. I mean, we're only about 25 minutes into this lesson right now, Logan.
Okay, well, that's good. Okay, so let's see. First, I think we should go ahead and fix where these are going out into the wall. What we'll basically need to do is just subtract out an extra cube from there so you can see over here where the static meshes are going past that wall. We basically just need to expand the subtraction out so that they fit. So I'll start out with a fairly large cube. Of course, I'm probably going to have to vertex edit it to get it somewhat close. So let me bring that cube around over here so I can see what I'm working with. And since I'm going to be doing so much vertex editing, I'll actually just leave it at that, the important thing being the height of 512, and then that it's at this level that I want to be working at. As I'm going to be using vertex editing to set the vertices, because I don't want this to come to a hard point right here. I'm actually going to have it go and then bevel off and then reconnect here. So with that cube, let me start by rotating it so that the angle is pretty much the same. And with that, I'll go ahead and, let's see. You want to vertex edit the builder brush, or you want to just go ahead and subtract and work on that?
Go ahead and subtract and just work with the subtraction brush.
Okay. So do a subtraction, move that out of the way, and now I'll start vertex editing that in place. So with the subtraction brush I just created selected, let me scroll back up, grab vertex editing, and start grabbing vertices. I'll grab this in place and just see if I can get it. Let me lower my grid snapping just a little there, so I get it snapped directly to one of these, and then come as close to the edge as I possibly can. Might have to go back just a little. Alright, here's something that's a little bit interesting about vertex editing. See how it's not actually snapping to a point? I can right click near that on that vertex and it'll snap to the nearest point, which is very handy.
Very convenient.
So let me go and grab the other point, Control drag, and start setting this up. Zoom out just a little, so I want to get it. Of course, it's not wanting to draw some of the lines, but I need to get close to see what I'm doing here. So let me right click on that, send it to its nearest vertex, maybe move it in one more. So that should be good enough for where it anchors into the cylinder.
Okay, now just kind of shape up the corner and be done with it.
Yeah, get these straightened out here. So just move these out until it's straight. And this would all depend on how much room you could bring these to more of a point, I guess, out here.
Yeah, bring them to a little bit more of a point.
And let's see. Bring them out. I wonder if I could get away with upping the grid just to see, get a better idea of where to pull these out to. Let's see. Is that one? So yeah, there is a grid line right there. So I'll do the little control right, or just right click on it to control select, right click. It's grabbing the actual vertices. Smooth these out. As we don't have to get this dead on for now. I mean, you get the idea. We're trying
right about there. Just kind of even it up, and that'll do the trick.
And go back to 4. And pretty straight.
Yeah,
you could spend time to make sure these lines are all perfectly straight.
Yeah,
but for the time constraint here, that should do the trick.
Exactly.
So with that, I can go ahead and rebuild geometry. And let's see. I was probably looking at there's the brush I was looking at. So there. Now we actually have the cube. We have an extra extension here. And now our ramps fit nicely.
Excellent. So we can go ahead and duplicate this one around now?
Right. So I'm going to let's see. Since we only have 4 of them, we'll go ahead and duplicate. And we'll see here, center that. Let me actually try that again. Grab that, try a different grid setting. And let's see. Duplicate that, set it back, set its pivot to the center, and then duplicate it around. And Control grab the original so I have both of them, duplicate them again, center them up. Let's see if it left the pivot at the center or not. And it appears to have left the pivot in place. So we can just go ahead and... No, it didn't. Not quite. Let me delete those and just reselect. Side brush, duplicate. Make sure our pivot's at the center. Now here's what I was talking about. Where that yellow vertex is, hitting that will sometimes like snap it to a surrounding grid point. So what I'll do is I'll get really close because we know it's on the center, so I'll go just a little off the center. Right click, pivot, snapped, and it'll snap to the nearest vertex, but that way I left that little yellow dot alone and didn't mess up the position of my brushes. So I'll duplicate these around, do some rotating, and click right into place.
Very nice.
Rebuild one more time so I can verify that more of these brushes are in fact working. And there, now I've got definite system going on for implementing these ramps.
And we're going to need all 4 of these duplicated and brought straight down.
Exactly. So, Control W. Let me move them back.
Of course, pivot's irrelevant now because they're going straight down.
Exactly. So, Control, drag straight down, and just line them up. And with that, that should do it. I should be able to go down, rebuild geometry, and there we have it. Now we have a ramp system with accommodating corners.
Very nice. All right, so at this point, Logan, what do you want to do next? You want to start working on the pipes, the decorations that's found inside the actual...
All right, let's go and get the final set of static meshes in place.
Sounds good.
Also, yeah, and we might go ahead and grab that static mesh and duplicate it around like we should have before in part of the group. But just on its own, it shouldn't be that bad.
Actually, you know what? Just leave that one light, though, until we get into the lighting section, and we'll just do all of that together.
Okay, we'll leave that static mesh as part of the lighting section. We'll add some lights, get it well lit, and then take the lights, the whole static mesh, and everything, and duplicate it around.
That sounds excellent.
Okay, so starting with some pipe decorations. Let's take this pipe from out here and actually add it to that back wall. Let's add 2 of them running across the wall, and then we'll add a special kind of connection brush in the middle so that they can run all the way around. So let me just go in here and grab one of these. Or I could probably go back to the package they came from and load it in because you saw they came in horizontally anyway. So if I went back to, say, Ship Tech and, let's see, miscellaneous. I don't know, we might just go ahead and duplicate it.
I don't remember which package it was right offhand.
Yeah, it's in there. Well, this is a good point. What if you wanted to know what that static mesh was? You could right-click on it, and in its properties, under Display, under Static Mesh, it'll show you what static mesh it is. It's pipe O2CS. So if I truly wanted to go dig that out, it's useful if you find one and then want to use that in a different map and need to know its name.
Very good. Good tip.
So O2, miscellaneous. Which pipe was it? The tube.
O2, wasn't it? Let's see, up a couple. There you go.
All right, exactly. Okay, so that one. Cool. So now it comes in horizontally, so that'll save us a little bit of rotating. So now we'll just move in. Let's see. I guess start where that light was, so we keep a standard starting place. And just on this back wall, say add that pipe there. And on this side, we'll just work with that. So bring this in, and let's see, we're probably going to have it, I'll have 2 of them, and then the little connector piece in here. So I'll duplicate this one, move it down, let's say we probably want them, do you want that, let's see, a little bit higher, a little bit lower?
We'll go ahead and add the second one in, and then we can adjust them from there.
Okay, duplicate it, move it back over so it's centered, and then again, so if you want to constrain and move something in a perspective view, hold Control, and then both left and right will allow you to move up and down. So I'll just move these up above each other, like so.
And we might want to pull them out of the wall.
And they're actually just pretty close.
Oh,
we can pull them
okay.
away. We can pull them away if you want.
Nah, that's good. That's good. It was a bad view I was looking at.
Okay. So now with those in place, we need to get a sort of connection piece so that they'll be to where we'll be able to hook them up. Since we're going to have, like, when this brush will build, we'll have a face going across here for these to connect to. And to make sure we have that done right on both sides, I'm actually going to duplicate these two over temporarily and then delete them before I do the true duplicate all the way around. So with those two selected, let me duplicate just those and move those along this wall right here and then move them in. These are just a temporary placeholder so I can tell where to or how to build this brush that goes in between them.
And another way to have gone about that would have been, of course, taking the whole system that you have right now. Have you checked to make sure that the set of pipes that you got in there originally are lined up evenly down the wall?
You mean
the original? Yeah, that set right there.
Like,
just so that just evenly spaced along here down to here.
Okay, yes, they are, because when I added them, that's one, and I centered it up on that center line.
Very good.
Actually, what I might have to do for attempt duplication,
you might have to just delete those two, grab the other ones, and then duplicate center pivot. So that way you'll make sure that everything will for sure be even.
Duplicate, move them over, center the pivot, and then I can simply rotate, and
then we know for sure everything's going to line up.
So now we can build this little connection brush in here.
Kind of like a little power box or something.
Right. So now let me zoom in a little, and we're going to start with a 5-sided cylinder, and then just kind of edit that into place.
Sounds good.
So I'll bring up a cylinder. We'll only make it about half the height, and only have it come down to like about there. So outer radius, we'll make that about 128. And it's not hollow, so the inner radius won't matter. Build, and let's see, go ahead and move that into place. Kind of close, and then let's see, let me make sure I get the elevation correct. Let's align this up with the ceiling, and there, we should be able to add that in and start working with it. So if I add that, and then go back, and now we'll try to vertex. Wait, that was 8-sided. Yeah, let me go ahead and
I was wondering why there seemed to be way more sides than what I expected.
All right. Sides, 5.
Oh, much better.
All right. So with that in place, move that kind of close and add it. Now we'll start editing this. So with this addition brush selected, we'll grab vertex editing, and we'll just start moving these points. We want to get a face across here, and a face across here is the main objective. So let me start moving some of these points into place. And let me see. Yeah, I'll go ahead and lower my grid. Let's say 4. And then just try to get a straight edge for that to connect to. So I'll go grab, let's see, grab this point as well, and use it to kind of line up here. Make a kind of even surface for that to attach to. See if I can control and right click on that to actually snap it to a vertex, and then I can get it to line up a little bit better. Select it, right click it, and I need to move it back inside, so right about there. That way I have even amounts of geometry on both sides. Let me do the same to the other side where it connects. Grab this vertex, move it in, and right click on it. I should be able to line it up pretty close. Grab this vertex and let's see, right click it, and that looks about right.
It sure does.
Let me move it out one, something like that.
There you go.
So let me go and rebuild geometry now. And there we're starting to get a nice little connection, or you can almost call it a junction box maybe, for these pipes to hit and then smoothly continue around for the cylinder. Now let me go ahead and get start some duplication here so we can get these all the way around. Again, we'll start with just this piece and these so that we can duplicate and make or end up with 7 more all the way around. So I'll delete these 4 that we used to line stuff up. So I'll delete those out. I'll grab these 4 and the addition brush we had here. And those, let's see.
You want to do a new group for these?
Yes, because that's what's getting to be a lot to keep track of. So I'll load up the group browser, do a new group, and we'll call this upper pipe wall.
Good enough. Big reason he's not actually putting this down into the upper ring group that we had earlier is simply because we're not going to be using this exact pattern down in the other 2 levels.
Right, we've changed our general shape of the lower 2 outer rings, so we need to use basically different end pieces for the pipes.
Right.
So if that's selected now, let me move this out of the way a little bit. Now we can go and grab that, duplicate it, center it back up. Actually, let me delete those and set my grid a little bit higher before I duplicate. Might make things a little bit easier. Now I go ahead and, let's see.
Did you have the right one selected, the right group?
No, I had to just make sure I deselect all, grab my upper pipe wall, select,
there you
and
go.
There we go. So with that, I should be able to duplicate, center it back up. Let me see, is that not wanting to go dead on?
No, you're going to need
all right,
grid spacing.
I'll go back to 4. Okay. Finally, select, duplicate, move back into position, and then pivot centered. Zoom in and pivot, snap here, and I can begin rotating. So grab this piece, click it into place, go back and grab all in the group, duplicate it again, zoom in so I can center it back up, and then place the pivot to the center and continue. Pivot, snap here. So I grab those 2, snap them into place, and should be one final selection, duplicated, zoom in on it, and I didn't have the viewport selected, duplicate, then center it up, then go back, snap the pivot, and then rotate that around. Okay?
Very nice.
So that should reach all the way around now, and there we see it does. So with that, I should be able to go ahead and rebuild geometry, and that will show each of the junctions. So that pretty much takes care of those upper pipe rings, which now go all the way around.
Awesome, awesome.
Okay, so now we need to add some kind of a similar setup to the lower 2 rings. I'll start by grabbing, let's say, actually I'll just add a new one of those meshes that way we can keep the groups separate. I'll just go down and we'll start on this wall since it's cleaner, and we'll start adding more pipes that we'll be using to line the walls down here. So I'll right click, and I still have that pipe selected. I can go ahead and rotate it flat with the wall, and let me zoom in a little and pull it away from the wall. Start to set it up. I can use the ones above it to kind of match it up a little. And let's see, I want to check out how it lines up vertically. So you say start with that and then duplicate one up above it.
Sure.
Okay. So we'll grab that, duplicate it, move it back, and then move it up just until it gets above the other one. Let me see, how high did we had a decent little, we had some spacing between those, so I'll go ahead and move them up something like such. Now with those, I can start duplicating more and move them all the way down. And let's see, grab those, and we'll probably end them there because we couldn't fit more before we hit the wall. So we'll grab all 4 of those, duplicate again, and this time, let me see, 4. Let's see, 4 of them was probably too much. Let me delete those. Grab just these and 2. Duplicate them. I'll just move them down as I duplicate them. So move these to the end, and then let's see.
That's good enough, and then we'll just add a brush in as a junction on both ends, just a straight rectangular brush.
No, actually, I missed one in the center. Let me go duplicate that back real quick. And there, now we have the length of the wall.
Okay.
So now we'll just go ahead and make a quick cube so we can end these off. And just another cube, 512 tall. We'll make this one about, let's say, I'll try 48 by 48. If square doesn't look that good, I'll change it around. Let me try this for starters. Grab this cube, see how wide it is. Yeah, we might need to make it a little bit wider.
Yeah.
So I'll make it, say, 64 by 64. And then we can align it to that edge there. And let's see. Let me drag this down to the level that we're actually working with. Zoom in a little, line it up to the floor. And getting closer. And we should be able to try that out. And there we go. Now we have an ending piece for the pipes. Let me do the same to the other side. Like such. Grab that in, center it up. And then add that, and there we go. So now we've got a piece that we could, I don't know, what do you think? Throw it into a group and start duplicating it around?
Sounds good to me.
Alright, let me move that out of the way. Grab the brush and all these meshes. Let's see, one more brush, and let's see, grab this. Okay, bring up the group browser. And now we'll create a new group for these, and let's say call that lower wall pipes. And with that group now, we should be able to, let's see, should be able to start duplicating that and moving it around and the remaining three corners, and then move it down.
All right.
So with that, let me go ahead and duplicate, center it back up, center its pivot, zoom in a little, pivot, snapped. Now I can rotate that around to this side, select all in my lower wall pipes, duplicate again. I hit W and let me grab lower wall pipes, go back to the view, let me check, and then duplicate, then center. And snap the pivot back. And should be able to finish these off now. The other side, like such. Starting to look good. And let me build geometry once just to verify. And there we have end pieces. So now we should be able to go back one last time, grab all of them and duplicate them and put them on the lowest level. So let me go and duplicate all of those, center them up, and now move them down. I can use this view a little bit, line that up, and make sure it stays centered. And that, let's see, let me move the view down. And I guess I can quickly rebuild one last time. And that should have all the decoration in place for this lower level.
Very cool. So now if you kind of head out into the actual main arena area and look back, kind of look around and see what all we're looking at so far.
Yeah, let me deselect them real quick so you get the actual colors, and there you go. Starting to get a nice little feel to it.
Very cool. All right, so we've got everything in place as far as static meshes are concerned, with the exception of the lights back inside our rings, but we're going to do those in the lighting section just to make things a little bit more efficient while we're doing this. And I know some of this may have seemed a little bit slow to you guys, a lot of duplication and just repeating the same type operations, but the idea is to show you how to make a level that's a little bit more sophisticated than a simple box, and I think we're starting to achieve that now. So that's going to wrap up this section right here. Thanks a lot.